Hello, divine creation, divine marvel, children of God, goddess. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. Recently, someone asked me, how does Kundalini get awakened? It's a great question, and so I felt inspired to make this video. Um, First of all, though, let's back up a moment. And what is Kundalini? Kundalini is quite possibly the most amazing thing in the physical universe. And the physical universe is pretty amazing. We've got nature and planets, and this planet Earth is off the charts. We've got galaxies. We've got a whole universe full of galaxies. We've got sex. Oh my God, orgasm, love. We've got all these amazing things, and yet, in my view, Kundalini is in terms of things, and it's hard for me to call it a thing, but just to keep it simple, I will. Hands down, the most amazing thing in the universe. So why would I say that? Well, Kundalini, in my understanding, is literally the creative energy of God, goddess, the creative energy that made everything, and it actually lives inside each of our bodies. Inside each of our bodies is an energy that until it wakes up lies dormant, but it's literally the energy of creation itself. It's wrapped, traditionally it said, 3.5 times around the base of the spine until it awakens, and then it makes this upward journey up the spine to the crown of the head, out the crown of the head, which is associated with enlightenment or self-realization or liberation. Maybe you could even say salvation, depending on which tradition you look at it from. And if that isn't amazing enough, then it also can make a downward journey back in to actually integrate the body into creation. And it's an evolutionary energy that awakens dormant psychic capacities, and it's really the energy of creation that leads us home, that leads us to liberation, enlightenment, and actually evolves us in the process. So that's a very brief introduction, and I'm going to, in the descriptions, I'm going to provide a couple links to some more information. Now, how does it get awakened? Well, that's very interesting. Traditionally, there are traditions that have various practices which can awaken it. And it can also be transmitted from a teacher to a student. It can also happen through certain sexual or romantic experiences. And then it can just happen. So how does it awaken? How or why is an intriguing question, which maybe there are infinite answers for. And once it's awake, however, your whole life is changed because, everyone, in my understanding, is on an evolutionary path. But once Kundalini has awakened, you're on the fast track. And as one of my Kundalini teachers says, Mysteress Angelique Serpent, who I have the utmost respect for, and I'm providing some links to some of her work, says that once Kundalini is awakened, your life has to be about surrender. Because I read once that once Kundalini is active, you need to withdraw from society and live by a place where 2 rivers can join and form a 3rd river. In Hinduism, that's considered a very sacred, auspicious place. And then live on fruit for the rest of your lives. Now, I don't believe that's literally true, but that level of devotion and dedication to the path is absolutely necessary, because you literally have the power of creation activated in your body seeking to purify you. So if you don't get on your game, it can get really bumpy. So is Kundalini awakening something to be sought out? not unless you're ready to surrender to God, unless you're ready to, and let's be clear, there's been a lot of misteachings about what it means to surrender to the divine. Um, Ultimately, what it means to me is to not follow any external authority. No book, no church, no teacher, no preacher, no person in authority, but to learn and cultivate a life of devotion to the divine, having a direct connection with the divine, because that's what it is. It doesn't get any more direct than having God, a goddess, depending on, I just use the word God to, words. There's nothing more direct than having God, goddess, active, alive, awake, moving and dancing in your body. It doesn't get any more intimate than that. So, unless you're interested in surrendering, then don't seek out Kundalini. It's not a good idea. And if it's already active and awake, first of all, congratulations. It's an amazing blessing, and it literally, we're all equal as human beings. And once your Kundalini is active, you actually need to, in my experience, um, understand that you're a Kundaliniite. That literally you need to, um, someone whose Kundalini is awakened needs to get on the straight and narrow path. And the straight and narrow path doesn't mean eating a bowl of rice, meditating 10 hours a day, no sex. It doesn't mean that. It means following and surrendering and trusting this energy. So I'm not qualified to really teach anyone, but I feel qualified. My Kundalini activated for sure by 1989, and I believe it was somewhat active in my childhood. Still not sure on that yet, but I'm certainly able to share my experience and point people in the right direction. And to when I say not qualified, um, it means I'm no guru, but I am someone who's been on this path and who's done many things wrong and done some things right, and I'm still alive and currently well and integrated and reasonably integrated, and happy to do whatever I can to support people and coach or point people in the right direction. But just to be clear, I am no guru in any traditional sense of the word. I am someone who's merely walking the path. And I don't go around trying to wake up people's Kundalini. That's a very sacred responsibility. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you have more questions, feel free to post comments. If you feel there's a way, you have an intuitive sense, there's a way I can support you, I'm happy to have a conversation about that. And I've provided some resources um, to a website and a teacher who her teachings literally saved my life. I do not know what I would have done, and I'm not the only one, because Kundalini, unless you know what's going on and know how to navigate it, it feels like you're going crazy. What's actually happening is you're being purified and you're being initially nudged and then eventually forced into a state of surrender with the divine. And if you resist it, it can be pretty bumpy, and I would know because I've resisted it for a long time. I'm an expert on resisting. That I am. I'm qualified to write a book on resisting Kundalini and how to actually surrender to it. And personally, I found the 12 steps to be exceptionally helpful. Not the 12-step groups, but the actual practice of the 12 steps to be very helpful. And I'll provide a link to that. I have a YouTube channel dedicated to that. That's what ultimately helped me to surrender to the Kundalini process. Thank you so much for dropping by. Much love.